Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we are taking on the Shiva Spiritus fight. And my run is going to make it look, I think, fairly easy, but it's because I'm using like a fully built Edgar. I think doing this fight with Edgar and without Edgar are two very different fights. I think it's going to be incredibly difficult without Edgar. Definitely can be done, right? But they definitely do tie into his weapon weakness abilities quite a bit in this fight. So a couple things to note here is on the start of battle, you notice they just petrified Edgar like right away. So what they'll do is at the start of battle, they will randomly hit somebody and petrify them. And then they have two other thresholds where they can just petrify somebody. So it is nice it is dodgeable. So if you have like a Rydia call, to have that up when they are going to do the petrify. I think they do it at 60 and 30% or the other two thresholds, something like that. It does say in their boss info, right? But a couple of things that make this fight really, really hard without Edgar and why it ties into Edgar so much. One is they lock out every element except water and ice. So you are given a couple elements you can use, which is fine. But the enemies want, to stop all of their nasty stuff, you have to do like weapon weakness damage. So it doesn't even matter. Like you can do elemental weakness stuff with like water and ice, but it doesn't really affect like the boss's abilities, right? So one thing to note is that their force is really, really nasty. So they will, when they go into force time, and they do ramp fairly quickly, when they go into their force time, they are going to do a force attack. And if they have like a double plus version and a triple plus version, and you need to make sure that they have a weapon type weakness on, otherwise they will do the triple plus and basically kill you. So they have to have a weapon type weakness on there. Then, when their force time is up, they basically make it so your max brave is like 0, and like you can't do anything to them. You can't fill your EX, and you just can't hurt them, and they heal themselves every turn. So when they go into force, you have to cancel that out ASAP, like immediately. You just cannot play around with it. And the way you cancel it is you have to do a force attack that ignores defense. And there aren't, I would have to look, but I don't know that there are a lot of forces that actually ignore defense on attack other than Edgar. Now, you could do something kind of, sneaky and use like maybe Lock BT, which gives the entire party defense ignore, and then just use any force character with that. Sure, but Locke is fairly weak right now. He's not really a character you want to be running. So that's one thing that you have to kind of deal with, right? Is you do have to stop the force. You just can't let them have that. And then, like I said, they've got the petrifies. You want to be able to avoid those. Now, the other thing they'll do at certain thresholds is they get auras up. And it's kind of like it's a 4-step aura. It's got 4 levels to it. So it's like white, yellow, blue, and red. Something like that. It's got a bunch of different colors. The red aura is in particular very nasty because when that red aura is up, you basically can't do anything to them. And if their aura is above white, you can't drop their HP below 1. So like you have to get rid of the auras. And what happens is every time, once they start doing the auras, every enemy turn, they're going to level up their auras. So the way you level them down is by dealing a weapon type weakness attack. So, and I believe if you deal multiple weapon weakness attacks at once, so like if you do like an Edgar move that does multiple weapons in the same attack, like his FR, it'll multiple downgrade it. So you really need to have that weapon type weakness around because you have to downgrade those auras. Otherwise, they're going to be unkillable. They're going to be like healing themselves. They're just going to be, it's just a lot of nasty stuff dealing around weapon type weaknesses. Now, there are other characters in the game that have weapon type weaknesses. So you could maybe bring like Oron in the party, and like Hope is actually pretty solid right now and he does magic type weakness. So between maybe putting some other characters in the party and using their calls, I think that's how people get it done without Edgar. It's just a lot more difficult. So I'm glad I got him. And he turned out to work pretty well here. We basically can just go through the fight, and we never really feel in danger in this fight, just because he shuts down everything, and we've got the enemies full debuffed. So I guess I could talk about my team build a little bit. I decided to complement him with Core and Serah. So we brought Core just because Core's busted, Oath of Absolute Defense, we're going to get extra follow-ups, all that stuff. And then Serah's just a nice complementary support character, but also does debuffs, because I do want to make sure the enemies are pretty fully loaded on debuffs when I do Edgar's FR. We are going to use Edgar's FR in this fight as the main FR. So you can see what I did too was I think my force was up like before the enemies, and I kind of waited until I could cancel the enemy's force before I went into mine. Because that could be a mistake. If you go into Edgar's force like right away before they go in, and then you come out and they go into force right away and you have to like ramp up again, you don't want to do that. And look at that, dude. We got 100% on that attack. So Edgar's force is very nice, very free, easy to activate conditions. We can get a lot of percent with Edgar's force. It's like free 80%. And then because we did the force echo, we got 20% for free. So that's how we got 100% there. Very good. And then Serah hits really hard when you got the BT effect up. We get that lightning jumping in. So my thought is let's just go really, really big on this first force. But here come the red auras, right? Oh, and you have, yeah, the attack also has to be defense ignoring while they have a weakness to downgrade it. So that's where it's like Edgar really comes into play, because it's like pretty much Edgar is the only one that is downgrading the shields, because the other characters don't have defense ignore. So that's the other part that's tricky. Although I guess I could double check. Maybe Edgar's force gives the party defense ignore. I don't remember for sure. But the big thing is we have Edgar to downgrade the shields, right? So I decided, all right, let's Bioblaster here. But we do need to get these shields gone, because otherwise we're not going to be able to kill them. Are the auras down, right? Okay, so you can see they downgraded to yellow because we hit them with defense ignore and we had a weapon type weakness. I'm just checking my buffs there, seeing. I do think I did make some mistakes here too, where like I let Oath of Absolute Defense fall off, and I've got like Core's BT effect up, and I went through like a decent chunk of this without having like Oath on, so I had to like make sure I like quick go and get Oath on all the characters. That's what I was checking there. I'm like, dude, where's my Oath of Absolute Defense? I'm like, oh crap, I got to get these reapplied. I thought Edgar had it, and I was forgetting to put on Serah, but Edgar's had actually fallen off. So, yeah, I have to quick with Core here, get my Oath on my characters so I can actually use Core's abilities, right? That's the whole point, is to have that on so I get all the counters. And the enemies do a lot of all attacks. So provided I get that Oath on all three characters, I'm going to be getting triple follow-ups, but I really should have had that set up sooner. So that was one big mistake that I made right off the bat, right? Was not using... not paying as much attention to Core's, because I think what happened was Core's kind of slow, right? He doesn't get a ton of turns up until this point, and basically like one of his first turns I like had Echo right away, and I'm like, all right, well let's just Echo, and I probably should have put Oath on first and then Echoed later, plus I would have done more damage on the Echo attack. So playing suboptimally, I definitely think I could have had this done in one force time probably, but we end up having to go into two here, I believe. But yeah, love the animations, love the chainsaw, looking pretty good. 11 mil. I mean, Edgar's putting up some good numbers, some good damage. Obviously, he's featured here, but yeah, we got him down to the white auras, which is good. It's definitely what we want to do there. Get them nice and weakened down. And then we got the aura completely off, and then you get a reward where I think they put a debuff that it's either like an HP down or an HP damage increased on them or something like that. So yeah, you want to get those auras all the way down if you can. See, the enemy on the right was on white aura, took a turn, then was up to blue aura. So Core's, their effect did level him down. So Core must have had... Well, and actually, I think Core's counters maybe naturally have defense ignore. I don't remember. There's a lot of characters in this game. A lot of things going on. But yeah, this is me getting through the fight. Yep, and Core's going to go through and do his thing. And now we're finally getting the Oath on all the characters. So now we finally have the proper setup with Core's BT going. Because I did set up fairly early. I'm like, yeah, let's just get all the BT effects up. Let's go crazy. Now, the one other mistake I made in this fight, I have another fight where you're going to get to see it more properly. But earlier in the fight, I put Edgar's BT effect up. And his BT effect is a trap that takes a debuff slot. And the idea was I wanted to use it during this force to do a lot of damage with that trap. The problem was I had the enemies over debuffed. I didn't have room for the trap. So that was something that I kind of made a mistake on. But I have another run I'm going to put up, because I did do Dare to Defy with Edgar. So that video is going to go up a little later, probably like the day after this one does. And in that video, I plan it out more properly, and we get a really nice trap off on him during the force time. It does a lot of damage, so you'll get to see that in my next video. But even without like using Edgar's trap, we still get through here just fine, do plenty of damage. So yeah, made plenty of mistakes here, and it was still okay. And you definitely don't need like a fully maxed out Edgar to get this done. I honestly think you probably could carry an LD only Edgar, because Edgar LD only, the only bad part is, you know, having the defense ignored to negate the force. I think Edgar with force, you definitely don't need his BT. I think if you can get Edgar built with force, you're for sure good to go. Like, you're going to be fine here. LD only, I think the only tricky part is how do I get the defense ignore on a force character? Because if Edgar doesn't have the force, you have to plan a way to get that. Because you have to cancel their force. And it's like 20 turns. And if you let them go through those 20 turns, one, they're going to beat the crap out of you, and two, they're going to be healing up every turn, and you're going to lose so much progress, because it's not like a small heal. I think it might have been in this video or the next one, they actually get a heal off, and it's like 2 million. It's like not insignificant, the amount that they heal back. So, yeah, they have a lot of nasty mechanics that you have to be careful of. If you don't have like the defense ignore. But you can see I've got them down to 30% here. I'm at full gauge. I'm like, sure, let's pop a Shiva summon. Let's deal a lot of damage here. Yeah, 10 mil AoE, not bad for Shiva. Shiva, by the way, her special effect is really nice, which you didn't get to see here because the enemies are full debuffed. But she puts a freeze debuff on the enemies, which is really awesome. That's a really nice debuff to have. So, you know, between her and Rama, you got a debuff and a paralyze, very good. Bahamut's got the EX charging. So yeah, there's a lot of, I like the nice little extra effects that these summons get. But yeah, you can see I pretty much have them dead here in one force. We still got a couple of attacks left. We have all of our BT effects up from the original. Like, you know, provided you can deal with the mechanics with Edgar, like, you can burn through these guys pretty dang quick, actually. They actually don't have, like, a ton of health. So it's just dealing with the nasty mechanics is the bad part here. And if I get time, I'm going to be super busy this weekend, so we'll see. But if I have time and I want to play around with the fight more, I might try and attempt, like, without Edgar and see how I can deal with it. But once again, I imagine it's going to be a vastly different fight without Edgar, because it's going to be like really hard to deal with these mechanics. It's just so nice that he takes care of everything. And I think, I guess on the devs part, it is a good design decision, because even though I don't like it, like I don't like fights that push a character too much, on their end it's a good decision, because I think Edgar is a character that the devs know a lot of people probably would skip. But this fight is going to get people to pull more than they would, right? Like me, for sure. I mean, I wasn't going to go crazy here anyways, but I was going to try to at least get the FR no matter what, because I knew how tough the fight was going to be. So yeah, we got them down to 1%, but they can't die because they're in yellow aura. So we have to get their auras gone first. So we actually did get it done in one force time. So not too bad, right? Because what I did was, as you saw there at the end, I did echo with Edgar. I took a risk, because it is another nasty one where it's like, well, if I don't have the echo, I won't be able to cancel again, so I got to be sure that I kill them, right? Because I don't want them going into their force and like healing a bunch and doing all that stuff. So I'm just going to kind of go through and finish up here. We basically are just waiting to get to like an Edgar turn, so I can do like defense ignore stuff. Oh yeah, and of course Serah got petrified there, not a big deal. And I still have a full burst phase to go into. So actually what I think I do is when I get Edgar, I just go into his burst phase so I can know I get the auras down, and then we get him done. So it was probably unnecessary, but I just wanted to make sure I got the fight done. I didn't want any crazy shenanigans going on here. So that's the other thing too, is with Edgar, if you do echo, and let's say they were in a force time, if I do his force attack in Edgar's BT, that would also cancel them out. So in a way, you have 3 opportunities to cancel with Edgar, provided you have the, you know, the full BT and everything. So that's not bad. But yeah, now it's just, we're going through Edgar's force, just kind of dealing a lot of extra damage for fun. But it's just so that we know we can do all these defense ignoring attacks, and we can just get those auras gone. And then once the auras are gone, they'll die. So pretty much coming out of this force time, they will be dead. Our burst phase, they will be dead. So you guys can let me know if you pulled for Edgar or not. Let me know how this fight is treating you. Once again, without Edgar, not fun, but with Edgar, it was actually pretty easy. It wasn't bad at all. I actually got it done on my very first try. It's one of those things where it's just like, we're going to give you a really restrictive mechanic, but if you can deal with it, really not that bad. That's why I know for sure, and I know for sure you don't need BT here, because I didn't even use the trap, didn't even really come into play. Not that big of a deal, but I think having Edgar's FR is pretty important, because you do want to cancel that force time. But you know, I'll look at my box later. Maybe I have some other characters that naturally do defense ignoring with their force, or maybe I can find a creative way to get that. We'll see. But you guys can let me know how your runs went. If you were able to get it done without Edgar, please let me know your team comps. I think that would be very interesting to know who's getting through without Edgar. And my Dare to Defy, I did use a different comp, so we'll get to kind of see that as well. But here we go. We're going to drop the air anchor down. Once again, he will not get the trap because I didn't leave enough room. I really overloaded on debuffs because I wanted to make sure I got the full force percentage. And then that should be the end of the road for our Spiritus fight. Not too bad once again, but I did have the guy. Like, I got the guy they wanted me to pull, and then it makes the Spiritus actually pretty easy. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this fight. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.